Next on UConn Sports Nation, the Ferrari is back. Another 18 points on 5 of 6 for 3 from Rodney Purvis. Don't look now, but UConn's won 5 of 6. Can we start talking postseason? And the UConn football schedule came out on Friday. 6 home games plus another at Fenway. I'll tell you which games to circle on your calendars. All that and more coming up next. I am your overly optimistic host, Matt Shavisky, welcoming you into another edition of UConn Sports Nation, brought to you by thisisyuconncountry.com, where I'm available on iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Another nice win for the UConn men's basketball program yesterday, and that's where we're going to start on a jam-packed show. 66-63 over UCF. It's the second win over the Knights this season, and it vaults UConn to 5th in the AAC at 7-5, 12-12 overall, and it's starting to be a realistic discussion talking about postseason. And I'll get to that in a minute, but really want to touch on the turnaround that Rodney Purvis has had throughout the latter part of his senior year. And he's producing from behind the arc. He's producing in a leadership role. You see him more confident. You see him more active and vocal. And you see him bring some of these younger guys under his wing, and he's becoming that leader, that true leader that this team needs at this point in time. Parts of it coming from Jalen Adams as well, but Rodney Purvis, to me, is really the key piece to why this team has won 5 of 6 games. They're 5-1 over their last 6. Granted, all wins are against teams they should be beating, but they're 5-1 over their last 6, and Rodney Purvis is a big reason why. And behind the arc, his last 5 games, 3 of 5, 2 of 5, 4 of 7, 6 of 9, and 5 of 6 from behind the arc against UCF in the 66-63 win last night. And another key piece to that has been Christian Vital, the true freshman, producing and stepping up in these clutch moments. We saw it at the end of that Syracuse game. He hit those 2 free throws to clinch that victory. And then, once again, he did it again last night, coming up with those 2 free throws at the end of the game, and he's also doing it from behind the three-point line. He had another 14 points last night. He's been coming on strongly, averaging 15 points over the last 5 games. Very big key to the last several games, the winning streak, and what they're doing. Here in February, he's averaging 13 a game, but even going back to the end of January there, he had 17 points on the road at USF, 14 at home against Tulane, and then once we flipped over to February, 13 against Cincinnati, 12 against USF, and 14 again last night. Big-time performance, and that's a key reason this team has turned the corner. It's not just Purvis in that leadership role, it's the younger guys. It really is the younger guys learning, falling into their role, getting comfortable in their situation and what they're being asked to do, and going out and having the confidence to get it done come game day on the court. And that's really led to this run that this team is on. And to me, yes, 5 wins over teams that they should beat. But go back to the start of this season. Wagner, Northeastern. Both games this team was full strength. Terry Laria was playing. Alterique Gilbert was your starting point. 2 guard. They're not here. And they lost those games against teams they should have beaten. But this team has found a way down to 6 to 8 guys on a consistent basis that they're playing. 6 to 8 scholarship players. They have turned that corner and have now found a way to win. To me, that's been the biggest change and the biggest reason for optimism, because entering last night's game, the Huskies were 2-6 on the road. 2-6 away from Hartford, away from Storrs. 2-6. Absolutely inexcusable to be 2-6 in the AAC. The 2 wins, Loyola Marymount on the way out to the Maui tournament, the game that Alterique went down in, And then the win last month against USF on the road in Tampa. Those are the only 2 wins on the road. And to get this one in Orlando against a team, yes, that you did beat at home, but a team that was 6-5 entering this game in the AAC, this was not USF, who's 0-12. This was a team, middle of the road, who started out hot. UConn went down there, went to Orlando, 2-6 on the road this year, and were up 17 points late in that second half. They had to hang on late. Yes, we'll get to that. But UConn went on the road and took care of business. They weren't favored heading into this game because of their 2-6 record on the road. So if you want to take anything out of yesterday's game, it's they went on the road, had the confidence to get it done. Your leaders, your senior leader came through. The freshmen have grown up. Even Juwan Durham had some meaningful minutes. Stephen Enoch once again played some meaningful minutes. This team is coming together at exactly the right time. And so who's to say they can't go into this AAC tournament in March in Hartford on their home court? Their goal, and I think Kevin Ollie has done a very good job with the approach to the rest of the season once they became shorthanded. The goal, the mission, get set for March. Get your players, listen, at 12-12, I don't care if they win their last 6 games, go 18-12 regular season, win 2 or 3 games in the tournament, lose in the final. They're not going to make the tournament at 20-13, 21-13. It's not going to happen. Even if they finish 3rd in the AAC regular season, they're not going to get an at-large to the NCAA tournament. So Kevin Ollie, recognizing that fact, has started to develop his players, and I was very crucial and critical of KO at the start of this year. I thought it was absolutely inexcusable, and it is still inexcusable, that this team, with the additions of Larrier and Gilbert, were losing to Wagner in Northeastern at Gamble Pavilion. That's not the UConn that I know. But credit to Kevin Ollie for sticking with it and developing these guys into having a shot. They've gotten better as the season has gone on, and we're going to find out over these last 6 games. Beginning Thursday night at XL against Memphis at 9 p.m. on ESPN, ESPN2, just how good this team is down the stretch. Because they don't have an easy schedule. This 5-1 stretch was that easy schedule. They have Memphis here this week. They've got SMU also at the XL Center, and they close the season hosting Cincinnati at Gamble Pavilion. In 6 games, we're really going to know what the chances of this team making a run and making the tournament are going to be. We will. When you get to March, you get that UConn magic, you get that home crowd, you get that XL Center feel. Big games. You get a bye. You finish in this top 5, you get a bye. So you only need to win 3 games. Quarters, semis, final. NCAA tournament. That's the goal. And this team has developed and has learned how to win at the most critical time in the season. And to me, outside observer, you could call me blue color glasses, UConn color glasses, all you want. But I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing development and progress as this season has gone on. Whereas I think UConn has a shot to legitimately compete come March at home at the XL Center. And we're really going to test that theory out over these final 6 games. We're really going to know if UConn has a realistic shot based on how they fare over these next 6 games. 5-1 is great. Again, it was teams they should beat. But it's something that they weren't doing at the start of the year, and they were full strength. So definitely looking forward to seeing Thursday night how this team reacts to playing Memphis at home on Thursday. 9 p.m. ESPN, ESPN2. But there's still some glaring issues that stood out down the stretch. They blew that 17-point lead. The lead was cut to 3 late in that second half, under a minute to go. And again, 8.5 minutes. 8.5. Scoreless streak. Late second half. That can't happen. That speaks to the consistency. I don't know if it's players getting tired. Again, I think Purvis played 39 minutes last night. Jalen Adams played 39 minutes last night. These guys are playing a lot. They're getting tired, and it's causing them to have some lapses on the court. There's no doubt about it. But 14.7 assists for Jalen on Saturday night. The turnovers need to be reduced. The start of Saturday's game, the first 4.5 minutes, I think it was 2 points over the first 5-6 minutes. It's tough to watch, but it's also indicative of still mentally, are they fully there at all times? And that's going to be a key determinant. Again, going back to these next 6 games, can they learn to limit those turnovers? Just get shots up. You can't score if you're not shooting the rock. Get the shots up and stop making those mental mistakes. And I really think, again, going back to this tournament coming up in Hartford in March, they have a shot. It starts Thursday night against Memphis. Crucial part of their schedule. But again, if you can get through that stretch, you've got a shot. You've got a shot because you start here, Memphis on Thursday. You go to Temple next Sunday, a week from today. Then you're on the road at Houston, who came into XL and absolutely stomped you, for lack of a better word. And then you have SMU at XL again. And you close the season at East Carolina and Cincinnati at home at Gamble. So, a very good stretch here. There's not a lot of guaranteed wins on that schedule. East Carolina is probably the only one. It's Memphis at Temple, at Houston, SMU, at East Carolina, Cincinnati at Gamble. Started a critical 6-game stretch that's truly going to determine which direction this UConn basketball season is going to head in as we enter March, as they have an opportunity in the tournament to make a name, make a run, and potentially get back to the NCAAs. So that's UConn basketball. So that's where we stand. It all begins Thursday night against Memphis, ESPN2 at 9 p.m. And when we come back, we're going to be talking some UConn football. But before that, here's what's trending in UConn Nation. The women's basketball team notched their 99th straight victory, 83-41 over SMU on Saturday, improving them to 24-0 overall, 12-0 in the AAC. Kate Lou Samuelson led the way with 22 points, including 19 in the first half, setting the stage for Monday Night Showdown at 9 p.m. on ESPN2 with South Carolina going for win number 100 in a row. The men's hockey team dropped 2 games to Providence this past weekend, 4-1 and 4-3, dropping them to 8th place in Hockey East. They return to action with a doubleheader with Northeastern this Friday and Saturday. And as we discussed, the men's basketball team 66-63 winners over UCF, improving them to 7-5 in conference, 12-12 overall, up to 5th in the American Athletic Conference. Rodney Purvis led the way with 18. Jalen Adams and Christian Vitale added 14 points each. And the Huskies are back in action at the XL Center on Thursday night at 9 against Memphis. And that's what's trending. We'll discuss the UConn football schedule after this. You're listening to UConn Sports Nation, presented by ThisIsUConnCountry.com, where you'll find the latest news, game previews, and recruiting when it comes to UConn football. Welcome back to UConn Sports Nation. Switching gears to UConn football. In the 2017 schedule was released this past Friday. And believe it or not, 200 days until the kickoff of the 2017 season. Thursday night, August 31st, against Holy Cross. It's the first game with Randy Edsall back as head coach. If any trends are indicative of what we can expect come opening night, based on how Edsall's performed against the FCS schools, especially against a weaker level FCS team than they've played in the past in terms of Maine and Villanova the last 2 years. So entering 2017 should be a high note for the Huskies. And then really a challenge in week 2. If you're looking forward to a game, week 2 is certainly it. USF coming up from Tampa. Charlie Strong making his AAC coaching debut. And as we all know, the rivalry between UConn, USF, it's been a close battle, but the last 5 seasons, USF has taken it to UConn. Huskies have not won since Rensselaer Field back in 2011. I believe the final was 16-10. Paul Pascal, in his first year, I was actually on the sidelines that year doing a work study with the football program. And 5 straight seasons, like I said, without a win, UConn will be looking to take it to the Bulls in 2017. And this game is going to set the tone very early on for which way this season is going to go. And I really believe there's truly a lot of talent coming back, especially on offense at the skill positions. Defense, in my mind, is what I'm going to be worried about the most entering 2017. There's a lot of question marks, especially at the two safety positions. And then if we're really switching to this 3-3-5 defense under new defensive coordinator Billy Crocker, adding a fifth defensive back to a team that's losing Obi Melifonwu at safety, Javon Williams at a corner spot, having already had trouble replacing Andrew Adams at the second safety spot, which led to a lot of deficiencies on the defensive side of the football in 2016. They're going to be tested early. USF is certainly going to test this new secondary. Luckily, Jamar Summers is back, and you have a stable corner playing on the other side. Vanderbilt transfer Trey Bell is coming in. There's talent there, but who's going to step up into those safety positions is really going to be key, and it's really going to be highlighted in week 2 against USF. And Charlie Strong, fired at Texas, heads down to Tampa, will be bringing his team to the Rent in week 2. And then week 3, the Huskies travel down to Charlottesville, Virginia to take on UVA. Obviously, last year's game came down to the wire. The missed field goal as time expires. Huskies took the game 13-10. Bronco Mendenhall's second year certainly will be looking for payback. And the last time Randy Edsall took a team down to Charlottesville, Huskies came away on the short end of a 17-16 game. They were 5-0 at the time in 2007. And obviously, the snap over Tyler Lorenzen's head led to them being pushed back out of field goal range as they were going for the win. So a big first 3 games on tap. You have Holy Cross, August 31st. You have week 2 home opener in the AAC conference against USF and welcoming Charlie H. Strong back to UConn's conference. And then week 3 on the road against a Power 5 league team in Virginia on the road, Bronco Mendenhall's year 2. It could shape up to be a very strong opposing team schedule here early on in 2017. And then, unlike in 2016 where your bye week came in week 9, Huskies get a bye very early in week 4. And I'll tell you what, based on how the season went a year ago, with some issues at the start, they never had that time to sit back, regroup, get things together, make the necessary adjustments to straighten things out offensively. And then you saw things unravel as the season went on. And this team a year ago had a lot of talent. And a lot of those guys are coming back for 2017. And if you can keep the train on the tracks, you have a chance to have a very nice start. Holy Cross, you have a chance to make a statement in week 2 at home against an 11-win team from 2016 in South Florida. And then going on the road into ACC territory and coming up with a win. That could be the key and spell big things for the rest of the year. And that week 4 bye, I just can't state how important I think that is, especially what we saw a year ago. It was a lot to overcome. A lot of things happened early on in the season. They just needed that break. And starting conference play, having that FCS opponent out of the way, and then going on the road for one of your road games against a P5 opponent. It's a good way to start the year. Regroup. Take some time, likely looking at 2-1, maybe, based on who's coming back from some of these other teams. And then you get into the meteor schedule. You have your 9 remaining games, week after week after week, beginning down in Dallas at SMU on September 30th. Second trip to Dallas in recent memory. And then you come back and have a short week on national television on ESPN, Friday night, hosting Memphis, another 8-win team from the AAC West. And that's a chance to make a statement, potentially, on national television. So, very tough early season schedule. I'll break down the rest after this.
You're listening to UConn Sports Nation, presented by ThisIsUConnCountry.com, where you'll find the latest news, game previews, and recruiting when it comes to UConn football.
So I've walked through the first half of the 2017 UConn football schedule, back for the second half breakdown, and it begins with going to Temple, 6th game of the year on October 14th. Temple has owned the Huskies in recent years, and under head coach Randy Edsall, he took care of business with the Temple Owls. So looking to get back on track with some of these regional rivals now that Randy Edsall is back at the helm. And then following that, a 3-game homestand. So this was one key important fact I wanted to point out. No back-to-back road games on the 2017 schedule. And after that game down in Philadelphia, 3 critical home games, beginning with a 10-win Tulsa team makes their way to the Rent. First time the Huskies have played Tulsa. And then the Huskies face only for the second time an SEC team at Rentschler Field when the Missouri Tigers come in Saturday, October 28th. Probably the biggest name opponent coming to the Rent, despite some higher profile teams in terms of records from 2016, including Tulsa, including Memphis, including South Florida, all teams that went to bowls. And then East Carolina comes to Rentschler Field. Second time that's happened. Huskies looking to return the favor. You might remember down at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, that's when Bob Diaco's quote about a Molotov cocktail of ugliness came from. And then the renewal of, is it going to be the conflict moving forward? Is it just a nickname moving forward? The UCF Knights. Huskies head down to Orlando. And then the final home game, Boston College, that game had got moved to Fenway Park before the Huskies head to Cincinnati to close the year. So, top to bottom, overall, a hard schedule. The home slate is very good with South Florida, Memphis, Tulsa, Missouri. Those are the 4 games following the home opener against Holy Cross. So it's a tough schedule, but I like 2 things. The first, the bye week being week 4, and then no back-to-back road games. And that's going to be a big help as the Huskies move forward in 2017. It's going to be a busy week for UConn Athletics, beginning with Monday night's women's basketball game against South Carolina as the women look for win number 100 in a row. I'm sure it's going to be packed at Gamble. I'm sure it's going to be loud at Gamble. It's going to be a festive atmosphere. And then on Wednesday night at the Rent, it's the Meet the Coaches event for the UConn football program as Edsall introduces Rhett Lashley, Billy Crocker, and the rest of his assistant coaches. And then the following night, Thursday at the XL Center, Memphis comes in, 9 p.m., ESPN2, as the Huskies look to continue their winning ways, and there is a season ticket holder banquet ahead of that game at Memphis. So a very busy week. I'm going to break it all down for next week's show, as well as have some one-on-one time with some of the assistant coaches following Wednesday's event at Rentschler Field. So until next time, go Huskies.
You're listening to UConn Sports Nation, presented by ThisIsUConnCountry.com, where you'll find the latest news, game previews, and recruiting when it comes to UConn football.